I think we're going to blow the first film out of the water. I think this film is superior to the first film in every way. All right, hello there, boys and girls. Your boy Joker here. I want you all to subscribe to the Epic Frodo channel. It'll surely put a smile on your face.
Well, I think we should just jump straight into it.
Cool, sounds good.
So I'm going to do a little intro. Yeah, Jack's going to do most of the talking, but
you can see I'm a little bit obsessed here.
I'm honored. I love it. It's just like, I'm always happy to see my face just houses. It's just like it's the most bizarre thing.
I bet it is. Maybe I'll be on there one day, Jack.
We'll be hanging there.
Yeah.
Your real face. He'll just like kill you one day. Just like,
we got left face there. Look, I've got Pretty Woman right there, so I can just sit there. So.
Oh yeah. You can.
Is everyone set? Everyone ready to go? Jack, you ready?
Yeah. Ready.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Hey, Kitty, stop it.
Okay, I'll start then.
Stop. If you see the screen moving around, it's probably her headbutt. I've got my laptop on my lap, so she's like, "Pay attention."
I just saw her head. I should have bring Kent in here and have all my cats.
She can be such a little bitch at times.
Okay, so I'll do my little intro. I hate doing the intro, it's so cringy, but hello everybody and welcome back to the Epic Frodo YouTube channel. My name is Will. Today I'm joined by Jack.
Oh.
And a extra special, super duper, absolutely ridiculous guest, David Howard Thornton. Hello, sir.
Hi, how y'all doing?
Good, good. How are things in the States?
Getting better.
Getting better.
Yeah, all of a sudden things just started getting better in early November here. I don't know why.
Hint, hint.
Yeah.
That's good. Whereabouts in the States are you?
I'm here in New York City.
New York. Yeah, I went there once when I was 16, but it was on a school trip, so we weren't allowed to wander around. But
oh yeah, it's much different because I'm originally from Alabama, so I used to come up here on like church trips of all things, and yeah, it's a lot different being in New York City when you're an adult and you're not having to go around with a whole group of people and you can just do your own thing. So it's just like, oh, this is a totally different city now, because back then you're going to all the family friendly stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, we're in. It's just like, yeah, you're not seeing the real city that way.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like I went to Empire State Building, all the sites, but then I wanted to go see like I don't know Harlem, but they were like, no, you can't go. But
oh, you've been that's what's so funny. It's like when I first moved here, everybody's like, especially down south, everybody's like, oh, don't you go to Harlem? You're gonna get mugged if you go to Harlem. You're a skinny little white guy. You'll get mugged. I'm like, I have walked through Harlem at 2 o'clock in the morning by myself, and I've been told I felt more safe in Harlem at that time of day than I have back home in Alabama walking through some areas of my hometown. So I'm just like, yeah, this is fine. This is you know stop it.
Yeah,
Harlem's
I do need to go
great.
back. Well, so I watched Terrifier for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I'd never heard of it. Like, and then because I'm not a horror enthusiast, Jack is, but over the few months that Jack's been showing me these films, I'm becoming a horror enthusiast, and I just want to say that your performance as Art the Clown isn't just one of the best horror performances I've ever seen. It's one of the best performances I've ever seen. All films. Because if you put it into the context, you have to take acting roles in the context of the film, and yours is definitely one of the best performances I've ever seen, so you should be incredibly chuffed with yourself.
Well, thank you.
I'll
take it.
Yeah. And but so when like I said, I'm not the big horror fan. Jack is, so Jack will be doing all the horror stuff. But I did have a Google of you afterwards because Jack said, have a look what David looks like without the makeup. And I started looking at your IMDb page, and I noticed that you are a big Joker enthusiast, and I like Batman. So
oh man, he's like my favorite villain of all time.
So I saw you were in the Nightwing series playing the Joker, and I wanted to know, were you allowed to create your own Joker, or did they say to you, we want you to do Heath Ledger, we want you to do Mark? So what do they want you to do? Your own?
Yeah, I created my own. But basically what I did, I took a lot of pieces from the different Jokers that came before me. Especially there was a lot of influence from Mark Hamill's version. I did a lot. I didn't do a full-on impersonation of his voice, but I put a lot of that into it because it's kind of now his voice is so synonymous with the Joker now. It's just like, you know, if you see a version of Bugs Bunny that doesn't have you know, that kind of Brooklyn accent here, Doc. If you don't have that, then you're like, what is? I remember when I went to France back in the day, and Looney Tune cartoons came on TV there, but they're all in French, and I'm like, ooh, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's not Bugs Bunny. Is it? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no. Merde. That's merde. It's just not the same. Yeah, so that's why I do a little bit of a Hamill version of Joker, because like, if you're gonna, you know, do Joker, you might as well, you know, put some of the best version into it.
Yeah. So. I was going to say, because Mark Hamill, there was touches of Mark Hamill, definitely, and I think Mark Hamill is definitely my favourite, especially the the Arkham games, the video games.
Yeah,
was my, because I was too young for the series.
That's an interesting thing. It's like going back and rewatching the original series now, and you see how much he evolved the character vocally from where because like when he first started, Joker basically sounded normal. Like a normal guy. He's like, I'm Joker, blah, blah, blah. And then he went more into it. You know, like, as he got older.
So good. That's
I was like, this is yeah, it's just like, oh, this is really cool. He kept evolving the character himself. I've always thought Mark is the best version of it because I think he fully grasped the nature of the character. He does it all just with his voice, but like if you've seen like footage of him when he's in the booth recording, he is acting it out while he's there too. So you see him just become Joker there in the booth, and it's fantastic.
I was just about to say that because I know your performances that you've done are so physical, so I thought maybe Mark Hamill is your biggest Joker influence, as he's such a physical actor. And then I started to read more into you, and I noticed that you described what's his name, Stefán Karl, as your mentor, who is also an incredibly physical actor. So, but then that led me onto a question I thought in my head: is Robbie Rotten an influence for Art the Clown?
Oh, definitely. It's both that and The Grinch, because I was his understudy for 5 years when I toured with the national tour of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the musical, which I hear is now going to be on TV. They're doing a live, I don't know if it's a live version, but they're doing a version with Matthew Morrison from Glee. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, no. I saw like a little preview of it yesterday, and like all my former castmates, we have our own little page on Facebook where we talk, and we're all like, what the hell is this? We're all like, that's not Stefán. That is not Stefán. It's like Stefan's version of The Grinch is fantastic. He was just he was such a great physical comedian. He had a mastery of his body. He actually studied clowning, I believe, there in Iceland, where he was from. So in a lot of ways, it was like I got to, you know, study under the best of the best in the business. And that was the great thing about being his understudy, because growing up doing theater, I did a lot of physical comedy, but I just learned it from watching those that came before me, like, you know, the Marx Brothers, Buster Keaton, Mr. Bean was a big influence on me. But I never had anybody that could really sit me down and, like, you know, basically dissect the craft in the way that Stefán was able to. Stop it, cat. I have a cat. So she's like putting her butt against this. And I'm like, she's like, pay attention. Damn it. She's like butting my laptop. But anyway, yeah, I never had anybody that could you know, just really, you know, help me like fine tune my skills like Stefán was like. He's like, you know, I see what you're doing, but he's like, okay, do this, this, and this, and this, and that will just make it that much better. And that's the approach I took to art, because it was about a year after I had done my last tour with the Grinch. And so, you know, that was still very fresh in my mind. And I was like, okay, how would Stefán approach this scene? How would he go about this? Because that was the challenge I had to undertake with, you know, art. Was I had never played a silent character before. I've always relied on my voice for characters, because I do over 200 different impersonations. And so that's how I've always built my character, was off the voice. And I didn't have that this time. That's why I was like, okay, how would Stefán approach this? Because he's very physical. Everything's got to be, I got to show all of my intent and meaning with my face and my body, my however I move and everything like that. And Stefán was great at doing that. And that's what I did. I was like, I'll just channel Stefán here.
That's not when you first see Terrifier and you think Robbie Rotten's the biggest influence behind this character. You just wouldn't think that. That's what's so great about just acting in general.
But when you go back and watch it, then you can see a lot of it in there.
There's a bit to do when she's trying to get out, and you're going like laughing like that. That reminds me. I think that's what something Robbie Rotten would do. Like just that physical, big pointing, enthusiastic laughing.
Oh yeah, it's just like you learn from the best and then adapt it your own way, and that was kind of the cool thing. Right before Stefán passed away, he was actually because he was dealing with cancer for a few years there, and we released a few months before he passed away, and he was, he had seen it. He was like, "Oh, that's great, David." I was like, because I was so worried about his critique. I was like, "Oh God, oh please don't tell me, please don't tell me, please, Stefán." He's like, "Oh, this is," and he was trying to, he was really trying to get it out there in theaters in Iceland and everything, but his body started failing him by that point, and he just couldn't do it. Which is, I was just happy to get his thumbs up. That meant the world to me.
Yeah, he did seem like a really nice guy.
Oh, he really was. He was, like for 5 years, understudying with him. I got to really know him as a human being, and it was because he was. When we're in rehearsals and everything, he was so funny. He was always on. He was like Robin Williams in that way, where he was just always cracking jokes, doing weird sound effects and stuff like that, just always trying to make people laugh. But then when we would tour, he would also bring his family. So he had his little ones with him. I think Thor and Julia at the time were like 5 and 4 years old, so it was really weird seeing him 1 second being really funny, and then the kids come in the room or the wife comes in the room, and all of a sudden he's in family mode, and like the kids misbehave, like, "No, you don't do that," and then they start doing fart jokes together. And I'm like, "Oh, this is great." It's like, and he's such a kind man too. It was just. He was always just going up and beyond, just to help people out. He's the guy that, he would do sometimes 4 shows in a day.
Jeez.
And he would go to the backstage door and stay there at the end of the day, greeting every single one of the fans that came to the show. While basically the rest of the cast went back to the hotel, to the bars and whatever, and he would stay there and make sure that he was able to talk to everybody that came to see him after the show, which, as exhausted as he was, I mean that meant a lot, because I'm like, yeah, he knew what was important. It was the fans, because without the fans, we wouldn't have the show.
Well, speaking of fans, Jack is fanboying out right now massively. I can tell he's desperate to talk to you. So
just want to put the mask.
It's because I won't shut up.
No. I said to Jack, I'll try and keep it brief. I know how desperate you are to talk here. But
I've tried to got some good questions here for you as well. We've been watching your interviews and studying you.
Chomping at the bit. I don't know if you have chomping at the bit in the US, but Jack is very much chomping at the bit to talk to you. So I'll let him.
Yeah, we have that expression too.
I was going to put the mask on. This is what I was saying earlier to Will. I don't know if you had it on. I can't breathe with it on. I don't know how you deal with even the layers Damien's putting in later. I put that on and I'm having a panic attack. I can't breathe.
Oh, no. I have that same mask, and I use it sometimes for cameo videos, and I do my initial greeting, then I'm like, okay, I got to take this thing off, because I'm like...
I was going to say, how can you do a cameo as art? Would you just do sign language? Or...
No, I actually, I kind of do my Joker voice for it, just because I'm like, yeah, I even talked to Damien about it, like, because I know how he's very particular about how the character's portrayed. He's like, it's a cameo video, just do it. Who cares? it's like, yeah, it's for fun.
No, that was my first question, actually. Well, you mentioned it there. I was saying I saw that video where I think it is 200 impressions, isn't it? I think you can do with it. But what is your favourite one? I've got a feeling it's the Joker, but...
Oh, boy, there's so many good ones. I love a lot of my Warner Brothers characters, because I think those are the ones I do the best. And, like, Bugs Bunny's one of my favorites. I did that earlier, so I'm not going to redo that one. But I'm like, I think one of the other ones I really like, I like doing Pinky.
Pinky.
Oh, yeah, Brian! No. Yeah, it's nice. It's a fun one. And, of course, there's... I know it's a different type of brain, but Krang from Ninja Turtles with the whole like Shredder, you fool! You let those turtles escape, you idiot! It's such a weird voice. Like I'm totally blanking on the actor's name, but I was like, that was a crazy voice he came up with for him. And
yeah,
a lot of layers to it. It's like it's a fun one to do, especially a little So it's just like, this is crazy.
Jack can do a good Marge Simpson.
Oh no, you want the Marge? You want the Marge? Well, what was it? We've just we're doing like horrors, but we're also doing like standard films. So you two did Indiana Jones, and we're doing the Star Wars. So I read the opening roles as Marge, and my voice is still a bit croaked. So it was literally just like, "Oh, homie, the Galactic Senate. Oh, homie." It's literally the whole thing like that.
Wow, that's really good.
It is, isn't it?
Wow.
I think I should cover it.
I can't. Let me see. Homie. I like yours is better. Homie.
Should I do the rest of the questions like that to you?
That's what I love is like, meeting other people that do impersonations. It's like you would think there was like a rivalry that these guys would have with each other, like, oh, how dare you, I could do it better than you. But it's like we just sit there and we will just do voices back and forth, and we're just entertaining each other. It's crazy.
You're the pro though. See, you have the standard ones where like, I'll just have that, and then it's just that's all I can do. I can do that in an English accent.
That's the thing, though. It's like sometimes you only have to do that one voice, and there's your whole entire freaking career.
Yeah, no, it is.
Oh, I mean, look at Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah.
You just have to talk like this, and everybody loves you.
Oh, amazing.
That's so true.
Yeah, I wanted to get back. I'll skip by it, but your first amateur theatre role or gig you sort of had, what was that, and who did you play?
My first one that I really remember was back when I was in preschool. We did
Nativity.
an adaptation of the book The Carrot Seed, and I was the carrot carrot in that. And this is what I think I discovered. I had a little bit of a niche for comedy because I started out the seed, and so I was just curled up in a ball, but I was in the carrot costume. It was like one of those like cheap paper mache type costumes with orange, and I had the green stuff on my head, like that weird crepe paper or whatever that is.
Yes, yeah.
And then the green kept going in my face, and I would just sit there and go, and I just had the audience laughing because I just sat there, and I just kept doing it because it was getting laughs out of people. Of course, I wasn't in the script or anything like that. I ended up stealing the show, just going.
So that was another just visual performance, like, oh, you had that built in you there, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. It started out there, but I think what really was the niche for me and where it really cemented things that I wanted to do this more was when I was in middle school, because I was bullied a lot growing up. Yeah. Because I was a quintessential, nerd. I was, skinny. I was short because I hit puberty late and had a high pitched voice to sing soprano in the choir. I had glasses, braces, skinny as a rail. Not that athletic. I was great at soccer, but everything else not so much.
Yeah,
oh, national sport.
Yeah. And I'm from Alabama, and so everything in Alabama is all football. That's how everybody gets in college. They get that football scholarship. So I stuck out like a sore thumb, and they're like, "What's wrong with you, boy? You're different from us." And I'm like, "Yeah," but I was very shy. I got bullied a lot, and at home, I was always goofy and stuff like that. My mom was like, "Have your classmates ever seen this side of you?" I'm like, "No, they won't let me talk or anything like that. And when they do, they're just make fun of me." And it's like, "Well, your choir program's doing a Mickey's Christmas Carol this year, and you do a great Mickey Mouse impersonation. So why don't you go out for that role? And I think you would be good in that." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I always liked doing theater because I grew up doing like church theater and stuff like that. I'm like, "Yeah, let's do this," and I got it, and things started going wrong on stage. Like, the set fell apart. It was a cardboard set, fell on top of Scrooge, and I'm like, "Oh, Mr. Scrooge, I think we have rats." It was stuff like. Then we had like the Cratchit family scene where we had the little small little goose that comes out. That's like the little chicken, and the table broke, and it ended up flinging the chicken over the audience. And I'm like, "Oh boy, we got fast food." I just started making jokes like that, and I just turned into a stand-up routine until everything got back to, they got the set back and stuff like that. And I was like, "Oh my God, I have everybody just in the palm of my hand right now." I'm like, for once, they're laughing with me instead of at me. I like that feeling. I want to do more of this. I was like, I like comedy. I like to make people laugh like this.
Yeah. And
that's when I was like, yeah, I want to do more of this. So I started getting involved with community theater, and I just kept going with that. Though I didn't get a degree in it in college, I was trying to be pragmatic with my life, and I was like, yeah, as much as I love doing theater, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of hard to make a career out of this because it's very, very unusual for someone to become a big actor and actually make a decent living doing this. So I can still do it on the side, but if I got like a teaching degree, because I come from a long line of teachers, so I was like, I'll get a degree in teaching. So I got a degree in elementary education. But it was like my mom passed away while I was in college from cancer, and that kind of changed my whole life perspective. It's like, because our final conversation with each other was, she stressed to me, it's like, she had a lot of regrets in life. She didn't do the things she wanted to do. And she's like, don't think you have to do what you think you have to do with your life. Do what you want to do with your life. Go and try to reach those goals, pursue your dreams. But she didn't flat out tell me, don't teach, go into acting. But she was kind of trying to, push me in that direction. About a year later, I was kind of in a downward spiral mentally, because I had a lot of stuff going on. It was a year after my mom died. I was going back for my internship in the schools. In that month period, my dog died, my grandmother died, and one of my friends suicide, and my sister married a homeless man. And so I was just like, the fuck? Yeah, I was very depressed. And I was doing story time in the schools, and I was making errors left and right, and it wasn't like me. I was just like, there was something wrong. But I was doing story time with my students one day, and I was doing the voices for the characters in the story, and they're all just laughing their heads off and having fun. They're like, ah! And I'm like, you know what? I'm getting more fulfillment out of entertaining my students rather than teaching them. And I'm like, this is what fulfills me. This is what makes me happy in life. I want to do this. Yeah, I want to entertain people. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so I talked to my dad, and I expected that whole conversation, like, no, you put all this time and effort into this career, and you should do that. But he's like, no, your mom and I always thought you should have been an actor, but we didn't want to tell you what to do with your life. Yeah. Finish up your degree so you have something to fall back on. But after that, go off and do what you want to do.
No, that's good. I think you mentioned then about your mental health as well. I think you mentioned earlier, what are you trying to do, especially in this period like COVID? What are you trying to do? I think you mentioned gaming. Did you manage to snag a PS5? Or do you reckon you could send one over, maybe?
Oh, I was lucky.
I got one. No.
I did the pre-order, but I was so lucky because I guess you know how it was. They kind of screwed the pooch on that pre-order thing. It's just like they did a pre-order a day before they were supposed to do it, because I guess someone put something up and everybody's like, okay, we got to do the pre-orders now. And the only reason I knew they were doing pre-orders because I saw someone on Facebook, hey, I just got my pre-order. I'm like, well, but what? I was going over all the sites. I had all these sites on my computer. I'm like, okay, nope, they're sold out. They're sold out. Ah, shit. And I found GameStop had a bundle that was there, but it took 20 minutes for me to even pre-order it because the website was crashing because everybody's trying to get pre-orders at the same time. Yeah. But I got it. I was so lucky. I lucked out. If I had not looked at Facebook that 1 minute that I did, I would have been SOL. So I was like, I lucked out. I was very happy.
Is that what you've just been doing then, playing PlayStation and chilling out?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm such a big kid. I've already finished the Astros Play Lab, which shows off all the stuff with the controller. Which the control is amazing, all the stuff it can do. I'm just like, this is really cool. It's like, it gets me excited because it's we're getting to the point where it's like you're not gonna be able to improve on the graphics that much after a while. So they got to find new ways to improve things. So I think they're getting more into immersion now, which makes me excited. So this is the first step in that direction. So hopefully, so I finished that. I finished the Bug Snacks game, which was cute. Miles Morales, I recently finished.
I need to play that. I haven't played any of that. I haven't played any of the Spider-Man games. I need to play them.
Fun. They're fun. Okay. Especially since I live near New York City. I'm like, oh yeah, this looks like New York.
Leave from that. With the lockdown, obviously, I wanted to get your doesn't have to be horror, but I wanted your top 3 films someone to watch in lockdown. Obviously, number 1's Terrifier, but
number 1 is Terrifier for me.
Terrifier is up there. I would say 2 of my favorite comedies, both Mel Brooks movies, Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles.
Yes, it's like
my dad's
2 movies, especially that couldn't be made today, especially Blazing Saddles. It's like, it knocks down so many walls when it comes to racial relations and stuff like that. It's a movie that is still relevant to this day too, with the issues it brings up, and I love that movie. Bus is just so funny. God, it's so funny. I can watch it over and over again and still laugh just as hard because everybody's just fantastic in that. But I would say my favorite movie. Oh, Kitty, hello. But my favorite is you didn't expect to see pussy on screen, did you? I'm sorry.
You should make a phone call with Jack and you'll fit right in. Honestly. The jokes he cracks up.
Oh, I'm dying.
But my favorite movie of all time is Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I loved that when I was a kid.
It's the perfect movie to me. It's got everything I like in a movie. It's got cartoons, it's got humor, it's got action, it's got drama, it's got mystery. It's perfect film. And it's a movie that, if they tried to make it today, it wouldn't be the same because it would be all CG. And I'm like, that's not the same. It's like when that they had to sit there and like animate everything by hand. And there's the famous scene where they actually have a terminology in filmmaking called bumping the lamp or bumping the light. It's where it's in the speakeasy scene where Roger knocks his head into the overhead light and it starts spinning around the room. And they had to animate the light changes on him because the light's swinging. And it's like, they didn't have to do that, but they did. So that means like, when you bump the lamp or bump the light, you go that extra mile with something like that. And it's just the love that they put into that movie, the amount of details. Like every time I watch it, I see something new. It's like something like most people don't know is like the scene near the end of the movie where the dipmobile goes crashing through the wall and then that train hits it. Yeah. And the train keeps going out. If you pause it, every single window in that train has a different murder scene.
Gosh.
It's all in silhouette. You see someone being stabbed, someone being shot, someone being hung. It's just like, that's amazing. But some of those things, like, when you saw it in the theater, you didn't notice it. You would only notice that when you have it on DVD or, VHS where you could actually pause it and go, oh my God. It's that kind of detail that's in that movie that I just love.
I have it on VHS, but I think the quality is really bad now. It's about 20-something years old, that video.
Oh, yeah. It's one of those movies that still holds up to this day too. It's just like it's such a good. Oh yeah! Oh my God! It's like the shoe scene with with Judge Doom. It's just like, oh my God! That's such a traumatizing scene. It's just like, oh that's the scene God! It's like Bambi's mom type scene. It's like, oh no, oh why? Why did you? It's just a shoe. It's just stupid shoe that just squeaks, but it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. No.
It makes me
things. I've got here, I said this to Will before we started because I was like, I just come into my head about you as well. other than the roles you've already played, so already done the Joker, because I know you'd want to do the Joker again and do that as much as possible. What character would you like to play? And I was thinking to myself, and I thought you'd be such a good Norman Bates. I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
That would be a fun role, yeah.
I think you'd be able to do Norman Bates really good. That
would be hello, mother.
We've already seen that where you dressing up as a woman a little bit in Terrifier.
Oh yeah, because that part of the film actually always makes me laugh. I'm like, oh god, that's such a great film. It's like when they did the remake, it wasn't nearly as good. It's just like that's one thing I don't think they need a remake.
Wasn't it?
What was that?
Vince Vaughn, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah.
And he's a great actor. It's just I think they were just trying to do too much shot by shot, and it's just like if you're gonna remake it, then do your own interesting thing with it, but don't try to actually just mimic everything in the first one, because why even do that?
Yeah,
the original is just like it's just not the same. Not the same.
Yeah, no.
But that would be a fun character. I would like to, film-wise, I would like to do a reboot of The Mask.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And do it because, not Daredevil, but, oh my God, I can't believe him.
Who are you thinking about?
Deadpool,
yeah.
It's like Deadpool totally proved that you could do this now, is do it like the original comic was, where it was very violent, very gory.
Yeah.
Over the top fun, because it was like basically Stanley was a serial killer in that, and it was like, oh my God. And the thing on Art is kind of like The Mask in some ways too, where he's just very over the top with his kills, and I was like, oh my God, that would be so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think that would actually lend itself more, not necessarily to a movie, but to like a mini series or a series like on Netflix or something like that.
Well,
because
I think that would be good.
Yeah, because in the comic, different people wore the mask too.
Yeah.
Like Stanley ends up getting killed by his girlfriend, and then she goes crazy, goes on a spree. Then like Callahan, the police officer that was investigating him the whole entire time, takes on the mask, and he actually becomes more like the heroic Mask.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like that's what's really cool about it, is you could do so much with it that way. But who knows? Plus, it's just a fun.
Right,
I was just like, oh, please put me in, coach, because I am like Stanley Ipkiss in real life anyway. So it's just like,
I thought that was well.
I
not
love
for me. Sorry. I was like, I'm too nice to everyone. I need to stop being nice to everyone, otherwise I'll finish last all the time.
That was like one thing, especially when I moved here to New York. I was way too nice, and people took advantage of me because of that. And it's like someone one time pulled me aside at work one day when I was waiting tables. They're like, Dave, I'm going to teach you a word that you have to learn. It's a very simple word, but it's a very important word. It's called no.
Yeah.
Just say no. I'm like, oh, okay. And I started doing that. It's like when it's like my day off, like, hey Dave, can you come in and work this shift? This person can't come to work today. I'm like, no. It's my day off.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, I think it was about a month ago. No, it must have been longer. For the Love of Horror guys, I think you did an interview with them, didn't you? But they were talking about the possibility of you coming over. But is that something that you'd be interested in doing, coming over to a con like that?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Because there is a huge demand of it. Even I went to London Film and Comic Con, and that I think I saw about 10 arts, and that was like 2-3 years ago even, and it was like, it's so popular over here. It's such a high demand for it.
I've seen people who have done like murals of art out there.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've got something here. I've got to give a shout out. This was a 5-minute doodle from someone I work with called Mark Williams. Like, just
you
how
did
much
that 5 minutes?
It's just nuts. Yeah, he did. He literally speed draws.
My God, if I did that in 5 minutes, it would not look like that.
No, show your one, Jack.
Oh no! I tried to draw one the other day. I don't have it with me actually. I think I threw it away just because it was a disgrace to you. It was just I don't know how people draw.
If anybody could do a disgrace to me, it would be myself. It's just like it was fun, like because Damien is a great artist.
Yeah,
he's insane with his drawing skills, and we were doing a session there at one of the conventions where people were able to see me getting the makeup and everything like that. And so we had a whiteboard behind us, and we're like, hey, let's have fun and like do our own little drawings of art on the board. So I'm like, and go. And he starts drawing, I start drawing. And mine's very rudimentary. It just looks like crap. It's basically what I put on most of my autographs, where I just do a little hat, and then I do two little, crosses over the eyes and little lines over. I'm like, it's like very cartoonish. But he just like really, almost like God, like some kind of like anime version of art. And I'm like, oh my God, man, this is insane.
Yeah, it is nuts just seeing all the fan art like that.
Love it.
What is the weirdest thing you've got? Like, or the best gift that you've got, like a convention?
Oh gosh, someone when I was at New Jersey HorrorCon made a marionette puppet of art.
Oh, that's
really
cool.
They gave it to me, and I was like, "This is insane." It's like, you're giving this to me. You keep it, man. This is amazing. It's like, no, I want you to. I'm like, okay, cool. So I have it with me. It's so cool. It's like,
it's nuts.
Just the things people are able to do is just absolutely. My phones. Why do phones be? It's like these stupid Google things where it's like you say one word and your phone thinks you're talking to it, and you're just like, no. It's like,
oh, that's brilliant.
The phrase that they give you to start up the Google thing on your phone it's like, that's such a common phrase. It's like, make it something weird, like, I don't know, penguin testicles or something like that. Because you're not going to just say penguin testicles in everyday conversation.
I know, I probably would, to be honest. Know me, that's something that I would use in my vocabulary, quite common.
Penguin testicles. Show me the nearest place to eat.
So
I don't know.
You'll definitely come over to the UK. Have you ever been to the UK for a convention or?
No, not yet. I would love to though.
You definitely got to hook up with the For the Love of Horror guys, I think, because I haven't been to one of them. I've been to like London Film, and they do get lots of good horror. I met Robert Englund there, Ken Krisinger, like they get Kane Hodder and good. But the Love of Horror is just dedicated to that. Like it's all in.
Yeah, I know that they unfortunately they're doing it the same weekend as the one I've already committed to in Germany next year. I'm like, you have to do it the same weekend?
Yeah.
It's like the German guys got to me first, because we've had to cancel twice with those guys because both times there's been something that's come up. The last year it was because of filming, and for Terrifier, this year it was because of COVID. So it's just like,
oh, right, yeah.
keep canceling these poor guys. So we're doing it next year. So like, it was like, but then I guess 2022 we'll do For the Love of Horror. Then it'll be like,
no, that's brilliant, because we'll definitely come up to that then, because we're right near London, but we'll definitely come up and travel to that.
I live in London, and so I'm a London boy. So if you need to know all the local bars,
I would love. I've been wanting to go to England, especially London, for the longest time, because a lot of my family history is from that area too. Scotland, Ireland, England. The Thornton family. The name comes from the War of the Roses.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember. I hope we were on the winning side, but yeah, it's crazy.
That's
it's
right.
like my dad did
anymore.
a lot of. Oh, it's insane. Well, my dad did a lot of my dad and my aunt have done a lot of genealogical research into the Thornton family, and it's just we're descendant of a lot of royalty throughout Europe. So it's just like Monkum. I blended two names together, Malcolm and Duncan from Macbeth. They're my ancestors, and then you have like Andrew Murray up there in Scotland is like my ancestor. Then also I was related to Longshanks as well. So it's really interesting thinking, oh wow, I had ancestors on both sides of that battle. It's like that's crazy. It's just it's weird knowing that like apparently like the castle there at Loch Ness is our ancestral home, and I'm like, what?
Go claim it. Come to Scotland and say, if you'll find I own this house.
Yeah, it's like, this is my house. No, it's not. I'm Art the Clown. This is my house, damn it.
Just start swinging with a greatsword and go in there. That's all you got.
Yeah. It's so weird, and it is. And my dad went there for a month back in the mid 2000s, but he went, instead of taking me, he took this woman that he didn't even want to be in a relationship with, and I'm like, why? Why are you taking that crazy woman and not me? And I'm like, because he was able to do a lot more research while I was out there, and so he's like, man, that was much fun to do.
Hopefully all this is over soon, so you can come on over, explore this. It's very small, England and Scotland. Like, you'd be surprised how easy it is to get around.
Yeah.
That's what he said. It's because in your head you have this, England's huge, but like especially in relation to the United States, it's very small, mass-wise, land mass.
It took me the same amount of time to drive from New York to Washington, D.C. as it would for me to drive from England, where I live, to Scotland.
That's
it's nuts.
So that's
so big.
But what's so interesting, though, is like, even though it's as small as it is, it's the diversity there you have in the different dialects, which I love. That's insane to me. It's just like, it's so diverse, but they just like, you just drive a few miles and they sound completely different.
I know. I don't think Jack has a different accent to me. Do they have an accent around where you live? Mine's a bit more London.
Yours is a bit more posh, and I'm a little bit more rough, I think. A bit of the rough and tough.
Yours is more Cockney-ish.
If you make it a bit gruff, maybe you could sound like Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah, no,
I agree. Because I always thought Mark Hamill's was a little bit. It sounded like an English gentleman with a mix of American. I find.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But you mentioned Terrifier 2, and I know Jack really wants to find out some juicy gossip about.
Yeah, we better get into Terrifier a little bit. I wanted to know. I've seen with the best prank on the set of Terrifier. Could you give us some pranks that you've done on Terrifier 2? I don't want to get any spoilers from you.
Oh yeah, these definitely wouldn't be spoilers because it's just stuff I do behind the scenes. But so I like to scare people. and our female lead in Terrifier 2, Lauren Lavera, is a huge fear of clowns anyway.
Brilliant! That's a brilliant sign on, isn't
it? And I have to be careful because she actually has a black belt, and she also teaches kickboxing, so she can kick my ass. And I totally believe she would if she had the chance. That girl is like, she doesn't like do any of the martial arts stuff in the film, but it's like, oh my God. Because like when the part was written, we didn't know who we were going to cast. And it's like, man, boy. But it's like, she was actually in the what is it, the Iron Fist series on Netflix.
Yes, yeah.
So she can kick ass. But so I have to be careful. But I would like to like sneak up behind her when she's just talking to someone in casual conversation and just stand there and like make a face. And so when she turns around and sees me, I'm just like right there in her face, like, ah. And she's like, ah.
It's just that face from the first one. I've got I don't know. Have you seen the Babadook, the horror film?
Yeah.
I've got that. I've just got that tattooed on my whole calf from the book. But I want to get a horror sleeve of that art when you're pulling the face, when you're holding the scalpel, just like that. That is just the most iconic. That is just.
I love that.
I think it's even better just you doing it like that. I think I'll just get that tattooed of your face just like that.
So wicked.
It's just a facial. It's just so good.
Yeah, the funny thing was, like, when we shot that one scene, I had no idea what the hell Damien was doing there. I'm like, why am I just.
It so just works. That works so well.
Like, why is this scary? He's like, trust me. And then he let me watch the playback. I'm like, oh, especially when he edited everything. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I can totally see where you're going for now. Because at first I'm like, why am I standing here going? I'm like, it's not like I'm hiding. So how's this a jump scare?
It's almost like contrapuntal with the music because it goes the music and it's so fun, and then you jump. It's just that bit is just so good. How delayed it is as well.
I love that because in the horror films it's always like bang and then something happens.
It is. It's like
just zoom in and then cut to you.
Yeah, and then it bangs.
We weren't trying to do jump scares in this because
Yeah,
they're so cheap.
Yeah,
Jump scares are so cheap because they're so quick, and it's like it's a cheap scare and it doesn't really last. It's just like oh there goes a truck. Oh it's a cat. Oh
there's the cat. The cat's coming back in, flying in.
Yeah, it's just it's like it's the scares that really those are the ones that really get in your head that linger. It's just like those are the ones I like.
Yeah, that picture's like iconic. When I see people get tattoos, and I think that's like the iconic one where it's just a face like that. But yeah, I wanted to get into franchising of it because we can talk about like Friday the 13th, but it gets on. I like Nightmare on Elm Street. I really enjoy the latter ones. I love like Dream Warriors is the best, but obviously
that's my favorite one of all of them. Yeah,
I quite like Dream Master, like, and it obviously it gets a little bit iffy, but like Jason, and as it goes on, it gets a little bit iffy. But could you see Art going down the route of him being in space?
Yeah. God, I think we'd have to do the opposite, have him underwater or something like that. You know. Like underwater sea lab or that's the thing is like we've talked about, it's like we don't want to go into the campy area with the characters. Like we want to still retain the scariness and stuff like that, and that's a fine line we have to walk while we're on set too. It's like we'll film different versions of a scene and we'll do a more comedic version, then we'll also do a freakier version of it. We just play around with things, see where it works, and then in the editing process, Damien's like, okay, what do you think of this? I'm like, oh yeah, that works. I can totally see. I thought, let's don't do the funny stuff. This works better in that situation, because we don't want to go too campy with things.
Yeah, no, that's what we noticed when we first did that watch through of it, because I didn't want to tell him anything about it because I like these videos because it's just raw reaction. But he was like, he's scary, like, and I was explaining that to him. I was just like, it is the scariest clown I've ever seen. It's just the facial features. Like you go into it and it's a little bit like, is this like an 80s sort of like rip-off slasher? But it's scary. It's got everything. It's just so well done in that aspect.
It's the first film I've seen since first thing I've ever seen since probably Doctor Who when I was 9. That afterwards I was like, okay, let's just kind of creep me out a little bit. So I was walking through my kitchen and we got big glass doors at the back, and I was like, okay, let me just switch the light on, make sure Art the Clown isn't standing behind these glass
just there with his little teeth.
Yeah, just standing there like.
It's just,
I haven't felt that feeling for years.
Damien's really good at the creepy stuff. It's just like I do more of the comedic stuff. He does the scary stuff, and I think that's why we work so well together, because we collaborate and we play off of each other. We're like, hey, we'll bounce each other, ideas off of each other. But even when he was writing the script, we were bouncing ideas off each other. But when we're in there filming, we're like, hey, I got an idea. Can I try it this way? He's like, yeah, okay, let's see. Let's film it and see what we have. And sometimes that's where we've gotten some really cool things that we didn't even think of. It's just things we come up in the moment, like the me flicking the bird in the first one. It's just like, that was something that they had already said cut, and Samantha, who plays Victoria, was walking back to set, and I was just joking around with her. I was like, screw you. And the whole crew just started dying laughing, and they're like, oh, we got that on film. Cool. And Damien looked at it later on. It's like, man, it's like, this is actually kind of funny. It works, because he didn't want to put anything like that really into the film because it just seemed too contrived, he thought. But it's like, that actually works in the moment. It's like, okay, cool. It doesn't seem forced. It just seems natural. And I guess it's because it was just me just messing around and stuff like that. So it's just like, but those are the things that happen. We'll just have those things that just happen in the moment. And he's even written some scenes in the second one where it's like, he wrote the bare minimum, like, okay, Art's in this situation, and that's it. He doesn't tell me what I'm actually doing, because this is where I want you to play around, and we'll see what we actually have on set that day, and just come up. And so that's what would happen. I would get on set and I look at the props I have around me and what all's going on in the scene, and I would just sit there and come up with my own little routine. And he's like, okay, let's film it.
No, that is interesting to know, because when we've got a video that's going to get re-uploaded, obviously the reaction to the film, but I think I mentioned it a few times about the horror tropes, like the Buffalo Bill and like the mummy complex. Like, it's interesting to know that everyone was bouncing ideas off each other, like, to push those theories.
Oh, the Buffalo Bill scene. We did 2 completely different versions of that scene. The one that you
amazing.
saw, and the other one we actually had the little baby doll Emily with me. And I was being more motherly with it. I had it like suckling on my tits when I first came out. And then I was using it to like I was doing a whole puppetry thing with it. Like the doll was telling me where she was hiding. Like I can't find her, but the doll knows where. So the doll's like pointing to her, and I'm doing all this puppetry with the arms, and it's like talking to my ear. I'm like, what? And it's like she's over there. She's over there. Oh, and it was. And Damien had a hard time choosing which version to use because he's like, both of them are creepy as hell. So it's just like.
No, I think it went well with that cut, and I don't think I think I've watched it about 5 times, but I realised at the end, you scalped her, you flailed her tits, and you also went downstairs.
Yes, most people don't notice.
Yeah,
that.
I know. That's what I watched it with my fiance Gwen, and that's what when we first saw it, we were just like we turned at the side, we didn't know what was there. It was a lump, and she was just like, "Is his dick out? Like, has he just gone like full frontal?" And I was like, "No, it looks just a bit weird. Like, I didn't know if it was like a bush or something, you know." And then it was just,
I took off of the JJ. I did. I was wearing her vajayjay.
I like that. I did. I really did. Like real method acting.
Yeah, that was a weird day on set too. It was because I literally had a prosthetic of a vajayjay that was with full on bush that was glued on to my down there. And it was a funny day too because this is a story we like to tell. It's like shows how stupid I was. Damien calls me up that morning. He's like, "Dave, bring a cock sock with you to set today." And I'm like, "A condom?" It's like, "No, cock sock. Something to wrap your junk in so we don't see it on screen." I'm like, well, it's like I just have a cock sock laying around my house because that's what everybody does. Like, just bring a sock with you, Dave. I'm like, why don't you just tell me that? Okay, sure, I'll bring a sock. Well, I did not think.
Oh.
So I brought this bright white tube sock. And I come out, and they didn't know this. And so I come out, and I have, because I glued on the vajayjay myself, and I was trying my best because, thank you, Dad. Genetics. I had a hard time covering things up.
Oh, that's brilliant.
And it's like, yeah, this prosthetic's not big enough. I'm sorry, guys. And so you just see this bright white poop sock behind this thing. And he's like, "Oh, no, Dave." And he's like, I'm like, "What?" He's like, "No, not a bright white. Why did you bring a white one? You should have brought a black one." And I'm like, "You racist." And like, but I see what you mean now. Yeah, because like, yeah, everybody's going to see this bright white thing down there in my crotch. I was like, so that's like the one part of the film where he actually had to do CG.
Really?
Because he had to cover up all the white that would just.
Yeah, it does in like a flattering way. When you turn to the side, it is just like he's packing, like, or something's going on down there. You know what I mean? Like from that angle, like because no one thought. Like, Will, you didn't know that, did you? I've watched it I think on the 3rd time. I think I paused it on that bit, and I was just like. That's his dick. Like it was literally just like, but then it's something else is on it, and I was like, no, that's not. There's something going on with her being like flayed down there. It's.
Yeah, that was also Samantha's first night working with me on set too. So that was a fun introduction to me. I was like, "Hi, I'm David, and this is my tits, and this is my vajayjay. Nice to meet you." And
lovely black hair.
It was a test of her because I was like, how was she going to respond to this? And a lot of people would be like, "Okay, I'm off the set now. Bye."
That's brilliant.
Peace. She was like, "Oh my God, that's freaking awesome." She was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, we're going to have so much fun." Because she filmed me making all these jokes about this where I'm just like, "Yes, I have a degree in teaching, and here I am wearing a woman's boobs." This is where my life is now.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm here covered in blood, wearing clown makeup, wearing tits.
That's funny.
That is brilliant. What I'll do is I'll get one more question in before we do that. We do that quick review thing.
Oh yeah,
is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to. I don't think you've answered. I've scoured the web for this one. I don't think you've answered this. But what do you think of new wave horror? Because I saw on the Terrifier 2 set, I think it was, Millie Shapiro visited you from Hereditary. So I wanted to get your take on family melodramas and like how you see those films. Like if that's the future, like of modern horror.
Oh, that's the thing. Horror has so many different subgenres. So it's like they're totally fine. It's like, but you know, you've had those type of movies in the past too. You know, a lot of Vincent Price movies were that way. A lot of Hitchcock movies were that way. It's like I look in Peele's movies are very Hitchcockian. You know, a lot, which is great. I think there's something for everybody. You know, because you know different things scare different people. So I know some people don't like Terrifier. I'm like, well, that's fine. You know, you're not into this type of film. That's totally fine. But they're more into Us or you know Get Out or you know. Or Hereditary or something like that. And so it's like, yeah, different things scare different people. It was awesome having Millie on set that day too. She actually helped film. You know, she was helping on set and everything like that because she's friends with our Fuzz and the Lens guy. So they're like, hey, you want to come to set? And she's like, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's cool. That is cool.
Oh my God, yeah. It was really fun because like Millie, I had met her briefly a few years prior. Even before she did Hereditaries, when she did Matilda on Broadway, because one of her former Cindy Lou's was one of the first Matildas with her because they had 4 Matildas, and so I met all the Matildas when I went to go visit Bailey and when she was at rehearsals one day. I went to her mom's like, "Hey, you want to come with me to pick up Bailey from rehearsal?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then I got to meet all the Matildas, and so that was really cool. So I was like, "Hey, I met you." She's like, "Oh my God, I remember." Yeah, Millie's a sweetheart though, so she's great. Her sister's actually on the what is it? The Doom Patrol series. She plays
okay.
The monkey girl on there. So she's fantastic. It's just like, oh, I love it. But yeah, going back to your question, I got off. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I enjoy those films. It's just like I like different types of horror films. I like the paranormal films. I like the slashers. I love slashers. Slashers are fun because like slashers, you can just turn your brain off and just like I just want to see people get killed up and killed up. Yeah. So you get killed and killed up. I'm making new words. Thanks, Trump. I make the best words. But yeah, just like I like to sometimes just turn off my brain to see people get slaughtered in creative ways.
That's what it is, isn't it? Like we're gonna do Scream as well. Like Will's never seen Scream, and that's just one of the best. Like just for even them respecting the tropes and just making it so obvious in it when he's just like, you've got to know the rules and just going through it. Or you can watch Midsommar and go through like an emotional nightmare, and just also enjoy it as well. Like
totally different type of movies, but they're all great in their own way, and that's what I like about them. It's just, and I think Scream's a great way to introduce people to slashers too.
Yes, yeah, I definitely want to do that with Will, so we can watch that.
I am very much a horror. What's the word?
Virgin.
Yeah, I was gonna say Padawan, but
Padawan. That works too.
We have to train.
So I'm definitely being taught the ways, and one day I'll be like Jack. I'll be on the council of horror.
But boy, is Terrifier an interesting way to be introduced to it.
Like, that's what.
Boy, that's like just throwing you in the deep end and going, "Here, swim."
No, what did we do? What was the first one? We did Hereditary, so that was a bit of a night for it, and then we did Halloween 2018 because I met James Dew Courtney, and I was like, he's already seen Halloween original, and I quite like that going into it because you can just ignore the others, can't you? For that, you can just go straight from that to Halloween. And then we're going to do The Thing because we just have to do that.
I've seen The Thing. It's one of my favourite films. So.
We had to get art in there. We had to.
I appreciate it. It's like you're watching all these other great ones, so just be even considered among them is just like, what? No, those are the greats. It's just
like it just stands out iconic. Just your performance, to be honest, and not it's just. No speaking. Like when we were watching it, we put the video up, and it would obviously I'll link you it so you can watch it. But it's just me fangirling at just the reactions. I'm like, Will, watch this bit here. Look, he gets stabbed in the toe. Like, he doesn't scream. Look, he's not screaming, but he is screaming. It's just you, like, your performance just makes it
fun. It is such a fun way of acting, because I had always wanted to play a character like that too, because like I said, I was a huge fan of Mr. Bean. And I kind of look at art as being like an evil version of Mr. Bean, and I'd always want to play a character like that. I'm like, oh, this is my chance to do it. It's plus I don't have to memorize lines, which I love. I'm like, oh, I just show up on set. Everybody else is pouring through their script. I'm like, what am I doing today? Okay, cool.
That's brilliant.
Just tell me what you want me to do. I'll do it.
Can we get? I think you're in the latter film, which was staging, aren't you? Filming, sorry. Like you're nearly done. So, is there any estimate of when it might come out? Is it probably next year?
Yeah, I'm filming am I recording it right now? I'm filming my last scene in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, which is gonna be an insane scene. It's like we started filming the first part of the scene back in February before the lockdown happened, but we're like, because it's very prosthetic heavy scene.
Yeah.
And so we filmed all the stuff where we didn't have to have all the prosthetics then. So we filmed that part. And just that part alone, one of our crew members who was a huge horror fan had to excuse himself because he was starting to get woozy. He's like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm just like, oh, God.
That's promising. We're going to have
and
something
that's
top in
before
that
the
scene,
prosthetics, then. Before I get to the meat and potatoes of the scene. This is where I'm just warming up. I was like, that was just like the appetizer, and I hadn't even got to the entree yet of what I was doing. And it's insane. But so that's what we're going to be filming in a few weeks, and it's just going to be crazy. I think it's going to rival, we're trying the hacksaw scene. It's just that kind of just like, oh my God. Because we don't shy away from the gore in these movies, because like there's so many slashers now, like you just see the before and after. You don't actually see the kill happen. And it's like or you'll just see it not happen in silhouette, or you just see the blood splatter on the wall, and then you'll see the aftermath. It's like, it's not the same. We want to actually show the kill happening, and that's what we're doing. And we took it as a challenge upon ourselves, because we're like, how are we going to top the hacksaw scene from the first film? It's like, how are we going? Well, it's like, well, let's try it. Let's, if we can't top it, at least let's be equal with it.
Yeah.
Don't want to pull back. So, so that's what we're doing. But so we're hoping to get back to your question, because I just tend to just blather on.
That's good.
That's good.
But we're hoping to release sometime, hopefully early to mid next year. It just depends how quickly we can get everything edited and
post,
get that, and then get distribution, because we have to find whoever's going to do distribution. God, I love having verbal dyslexia. But yeah, it's like so once we get that set up, I anticipate we'll have an easier time getting distribution this time than we did for the first film.
Yes. Yeah.
I think hopefully people will be chomping at the bit.
Nice way to bring it back.
Yeah. It's like, who's going to get
excited?
So I know Damien's talked about possibly doing a road show with it as well, kind of like what Kevin Smith did with Jay and Silent Bob, the recent one that he did. Because I don't know if it would be able to be released nationwide in theaters.
Yeah.
Because the subject matter. I think the first 5 minutes of the film would get a NC-17 rating, so just I don't know, but it's like, but that's the thing, we don't want to sacrifice the integrity of the film. We don't want to cut all about it, because that's the stuff the fans want to see. This is because we make these movies for horror fans. We don't make them for your typical just movie-going audience. We make them for the fans of horror. We give them, because Damien himself is a huge horror fan. He's literally named after Damien from The Omen.
Yeah.
He's got like an encyclopedic knowledge of horror films. We're coming up with kills for part 2, and I would come up with something. It's like, oh, that was in this movie that came out in like 1950 something. It was called this. It's like some film no one's ever heard of. It's like, but they did this in this film, and so we don't want to. I'm like, good God, man! It's like, how do you know all of this? But he does. So he makes the type of film he wants to see.
Yeah.
It's not like studio system coming down. It's like, oh, well, you have to do this, this, and this, and this. You can't do this, 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 and this. And it's like, no, he's like, we're going to do what we want to do, damn it. And if people don't want it, tough. It's and I think that's why the horror fans enjoy it so much because like we're making a film for horror fans.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is
Funded by horror fans too.
Yeah,
It's like
that's what with the how quickly the donations. I don't know how much it went over, but it was just instantly, wasn't it? Like you could see the crowdfunding with it.
we made 4 times as much as we anticipated, and we made our goal in like just a few hours.
it's crazy.
It's
Like,
insane.
We did because like when we're originally talking about our goal, I had suggested let's make the goal $100,000, and Damien's like, no, dude, we're not going to make $100,000. There's no way we're going to make $100,000. It's like we want to make sure that we, because a lot of these things, like if you don't make your goal, then you don't get the money.
Don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like let's don't cut off our nose to spite our face here. Let's just like we'll make it 50,000. Maybe we can make 50,000. I think it's like, okay, well, let's see. And then boom, we made $50,000 in like 3 hours. We're like, holy crap. And even when we stopped the campaign, we had so many people, oh, can we still donate? And we're like, no, we can't do it now. But it's like for part 3, maybe. But knowing that there are still people that wanted to, put money into it, I was like, this is amazing. But most of the film is funded by horror fans.
Yeah.
So we want to give these horror fans what they deserve.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That honestly is.
And I think we're going to blow the first film out of the water. I think this film is superior to the first film in every way, because we've addressed the things that people were nitpicky about, like the lack of plot, lack of character development. We've put that into this film. We're really trying to do a lot of world building and character building in this, especially with our female lead. I mean, I think people are going to love this character because she's not your typical final girl type character where she's just like sometimes a little distressed. She's actually kind of
she reminds me of Hit
badass
Girl from the trailer, like in Kick-Ass Hit Girl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I love this character. It's like, and it's Damien's. It's like I think it's Damien's favorite character he's created so far, which I think is great. It's like a character he's wanted to put on film for like over a decade, and now he's had a chance to do it because she's very, Sarah Connor like, very very Ellen Ripley like, where she's like, she's an ass kicker, and you see her become that ass kicker in this movie.
No, that's brilliant. I'm so hyped for it. I cannot wait. It's going to be fantastic.
I can't wait.
I am.
There's
so
much. Oh, there's so much I want to talk about, and I can't. Like,
well, when's the press release? When's the what's the word? When you can start talking? The embargo. When's the embargo over?
I know what you're talking. Lord, I'm totally blanking on the terminology for it, but it's like when I'm going to be like, okay, now I can talk, because there's so much. It's just a fun film. It's just there's so many, like the trailer doesn't spoil anything. I think the trailer that we released is such a good trailer.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah,
so many trailers spoil so much.
Oh yeah, they all
and
do.
People think they might have spoiled things. Like, oh God, no, there are characters that haven't even been shown in this trailer yet.
Yeah,
that people can be like, there's one character especially that we've kind of kept top secret and stuff like that, and I think people are going to like love this character.
It's not Art's mom, is it, or something?
Well, maybe no. But those are the things. I'm like, oh God, I can't wait, because there are going to be so many more fan theories about things. Because it's like, we're not wanting to totally just talk about everything about Art yet. We don't want to ruin his whole entire backstory yet. So like we offer clues here or there, and because I think that mystery of who he is and why he does what he does is part of the fun of it. It's like, okay, it's like the Joker. You don't want to. It's like once you explain the joke, it's not nearly as entertaining.
Definitely.
He can never talk. I think I've got to go ride or die with that. He can never ever talk. I never want him to talk.
No, because if he talked, it would be a disappointment to so many people.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like
because everybody has their own idea how he would sound too, and then you hear his voice and you're like, what the fuck is that?
Homie!
It'd just be very, hello there, my name is Art, and I am here to keep you guys. We're gonna have
it's Will.
It's me.
Yes.
Good day, sir. My name is Art the Clown. How are you?
Hello. I'm going to kill you now.
That's creepy though.
That's brilliant.
Pip pip cheerio and all that. You're going to die.
Sound like a Bond villain.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, David, we've been doing this for over an hour now, and we are very gracious.
Time goes by when you're having fun.
It did. I can't believe it's been over an hour already.
That's crazy.
I mean, just the fact that you've agreed to
We've
do
got enough
this.
questions in that, and I've still got like 20 questions. But
We'll have to do
still...
maybe when Terrifier 2's out, we'll do a part 2.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I ramble so much. I'm sorry.
It's good though. I like these ones. They're so much better than interview, question, answer, question, answer.
Yeah, it's nice to have a little basis, but when it's organic and we're just talking, that's when it's the best.
I much prefer it that way when you're just having
me too.
casual conversation. It's more fun that way. It's just
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know, how Graham Norton does his show, where it's just like, let's just have conversation.
Yeah, it is. It makes it better.
Maybe one day you'll be on that, and you have an excuse to come to England.
God, I would love to be on his show. I would be. I did a deep dive into it a few days ago on like YouTube, which is funny moments on that show. It's hysterical, the stuff that happens on there.
It's huge.
Because you get to see like he's really good at bringing out the real side of celebrities on there, which I think is great. It's just like he just lets them be themselves, and they're all just cracking jokes and telling funny stories. I'm like, God, that's fun. That's so much fun.
It is. Well, I think we'll definitely do a part 2. So Jack will slide in your DMs again.
Yes.
I'll message you, and then just be like, I'll be like, Will, he's responded. I'll be like, what? I'll be like, he's responded. He's put a clown emoji. He said yes. And then it's just like, no, he hasn't. It's just like, yes, he has.
Oh, I love doing these. That's the, you know, especially with this whole lockdown right now. It's just like it's human contact, because I've basically been quarantining myself so much because, you know, it's like I can't afford to get sick. I can't, you know, because our producer had a big, huge heart surgery last year, so it's like he's so susceptible to this virus. So I want to make sure he's okay, and, you know, stuff like that. So it's like, oh, geez, it's killed me with dating. Oh my God, I can't.
Tell me about
I
it.
have people, I want to hang out. I'm like, I would love to hang out. I would love to, but I can't risk anything. I was like, I swear I'm clean. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you are, but I just can't risk it right now.
What if you put the mask on? Put the costume on?
Oh, I know.
It's an extra layer of protection. No.
Yeah, it is. Don't.
I just pass out. Like,
oh,
he's a lot of fun. He just passed out on me. Next on TMZ, Art the Clown passes out mid-date.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this for us, Dave.
I'll
message you if you want, but if you do have a PO box or something, we'd like to send you a gift. I can message you on Instagram if you've got one.
I don't have PO box, but I'll give you an address so you can send stuff to.
I appreciate that.
Send it to Damien's house. Give us Damien's address, and we'll.
What's in the box, Damien?
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Oh my God, it's a head.
But yeah, I mean, it just goes to show what such a nice guy you are for doing this with us. I mean, we're nothing. We are literally nothing.
Yeah, never say that. You never. It's like I still consider myself a nothing. I'm just like a guy that wears crazy makeup.
Yeah, thank you so much.
This did record, right?
It did, yeah. I got it recorded.
Okay, good.
I got it.
Can we do it again?
Oh shit! Like I did like one where it's like a 2-hour-long thing, and we're like, oh shit, we forgot to record.
I planned so much before this, just making sure everything is perfect.
Good. It's like, oh, sorry about the tail getting in the camera. This cat. Why do you do this? Yes, I know. I love you too, but you yes, I know.
Oh, you'll probably get a follow from the Epic Frodo Instagram as well. So that's us.
Oh, great.
No, I appreciate it, David, honestly, and look forward to seeing you in 2022.
Yes.
In England.
Or sooner. You never.
Yeah, you could. London Film and Comic Con is another big one down in London.
Yeah, that would
I'll
be great.
spam their page because they've got a little section where they say who do you want to see. I've seen your name spammed on it tons.
Oh, fantastic! I would love to. I would be so, especially once this stupid virus is over and done with. I'm so anxious to get back out on the road because I love doing conventions. They're so much fun.
Yeah,
so much fun.
Yeah,
it's like a paid vacation in a lot of ways. Because I know there's some celebrities out there that don't want to do conventions. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's like it's you get to hang out with people, you get to travel, and you get paid to do it. I'm like, how is that a bad thing? It's like, and it's people just saying, "I love you" the whole entire time. Why is this because I think some people think they sold out or something like that. It's like, no, it's just a great way to actually interact with your fan base.
Yeah.
It was like the people that have given you a career. It's your way to actually interact with them and have fun.
Yeah.
It's like, and I know there are a lot of celebrities at these conventions. I know, especially like Felissa Rose and Kane Hodder are notorious for just hanging out with people afterwards.
Yeah, I saw Kane was doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I love, because I do that too. Like Damien and I are always hitting up the bar afterwards. Like there's like karaoke night. I'm down there doing karaoke. I love doing karaoke. Oh my god! Like Felissa and I, they always get Felissa and I. We always do like duets together and stuff like that. So
that's brilliant.
Yeah, we'll see you in London.
Yes, I would love that. I might have to just go there a day or so before, just so I can have like a little mini vacation, so I can actually tour the city and stuff like that.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to do there. I know. It's just like so much history there too.
Well, I have 2 degrees in history, so if you need anyone to show you history.
I have a minor in history too, so yeah.
It's very interesting.
I'm a huge history buff. I'm actually playing the Assassin's Creed Valhalla game right now.
It's expensive for me at the moment.
Oh, God, it's so
we can't get it.
Oh, it's so good. But it takes place mainly in England too, which is really cool going there. I'm like, oh wow, this is before all the it's this like early, like 800 something. I'm like, this is crazy seeing all this where it's, these were just little hamlets at the time and not cities. I'm like, this is really cool. But
does it arc with like the Ragnar? Like, so do you have like the Sons of Ragnar and stuff like that with it? Like, so it's sort of the first invasion. Okay, that's quite cool actually, because I like the Viking show.
Yes, that's why I love it so much, because it's like, that's why I love this Assassin's Creed game so much, because it actually, they do take a few liberties here or there with his history, because you got to build like some kind of sci-fi thing to it all as well. But but they really do go into the history of the areas, which I really enjoy. It's like it's interactive history in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I definitely need to play Valhalla. It's on my list. I've got a list of many games I need to play.
It's my favorite of their games so far. It's just like it's especially with the side missions. They're not just generic side missions, and it's just like, oh wow, these are the raids where you're just going in and raiding a village. I'm like, oh, this is fun. You can just throw torches on roofs and set them on fire, and I'm like, I'm having fun. It's just like, this is because they get so repetitive sometimes, but this is like, but this is like, I'm having fun. I'm not getting. I'm like over 20 hours into it. I'm like, I'm not bored yet. I'm like, this is fun.
Definitely.
Yeah, so definitely whenever you can get it. It's totally.
I think it's on sale right now, but I say sale is £5 reduced, which is still like £45 at the moment, but soon.
Yeah, I mean, like whenever it goes down in price, you can definitely get it too. It's like, it's totally worth it. Totally, because you're gonna get a lot of bang for your buck. It's just I don't buy games unless I know I'm gonna be playing it for like 50, 60 hours, because I feel like that way I'm getting my money's worth. Not like when I'm gonna defeat this in 10 hours. I'm like,
For $50 as well. It's like not worth it.
Yeah. It's like I paid $50 for this, and it's just like I'm done with it in 2 days. I'm like,
Yeah. That's the Star Wars games. The Star Wars games.
Yeah. Oh God.
The new Battlefront.
I remember like the Force Unleashed or whatever that was, the one that came out, the second one. It was like I thought I was at the halfway point of the game and I'm like, oh, that and the credits. This is it. I'm like, I've only played for 4 hours. I'm like, man, I'm glad I rented this. Because if I paid $60 and it's like 4 hours, you're done, credits, and there's nothing else, I'm like.
No, I know how you feel. I'm very stiff.
Hit the art.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Going to game and do that.
Yeah, like that and Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's all.
That looks like that's going to be insane. I'm like,
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, like one of the developers said that he's played it for over 175 hours and he still is not finished with all the side quests. I'm like,
jeez.
Are you kidding me?
Love games like that. I can't wait.
I think I'm going to take a week off doing anything to when that game comes out.
Yeah, it's like, but I'm one of these people. I'm a completionist, so I have to finish one game before I go on to the next game. So I'm like, I'm probably going to get to that one probably sometime next year then, but it'll be worth it.
It will.
Oh, there's another one, David. Quickly, Trick or Treat Studios, who did the mask. When is the art 12-inch figure coming out? I want to know if you've got insight to this.
I want to know too. I didn't even know they were making it until they announced it. I'm like, oh my god!
How good that looks.
It looks so good. That's like a dream come true for me too, because that was always one of my goals. Like, I want to have an action figure of some character I've played one day. Because I love action figures. I don't have a room for action figures now, but I'm like, whenever I upgrade to a better place in my shitty little New York apartment, I'm definitely gonna get. I'm gonna now I can buy Legos again and action figures. But I want to know too. It's like, because when they announced it at New York Toy Fair.
Yeah, and it was all of the Michaels together, wasn't it? And now all of the Michaels are out, and all their pre-orders, and they're all, you can buy them, and they come straight away. So, and it's like no information about it.
I guess they're probably going to try to release it at the same time we release Terrifier 2 or something like that.
Maybe, do it like a promotion thing.
Yeah, I wish I could have been there when they did the announcement. I was like, why didn't anybody tell me? I would have loved to have gone to New York Toy Fair.
Yeah, because you had Chris Jericho and Catherine.
Jericho and Catherine were at it, but they weren't invited to go to the announcement. They just happened upon it, like, oh my god, it's the action figure. They're like, Dave, look. I'm like, oh my god, that is awesome. And Chris Jericho's posing with it.
That is nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts. He's like become part of our Terrifier family now.
Yeah, that's what's, because he's almost like introduced massive wrestling fans to it, hasn't he? Yeah. Like people that don't even watch horror films and that from like AEW and that, they're like just obsessed with you now because he's been like, I love this character, watch it, and then they've all watched it and they're like, it's amazing.
It's insane because, I used to watch him wrestle back in the day. Back in college, my roommate and I would watch, wrestling every single Monday night and stuff like that. So I'm just like, oh my god, Chris Jericho's a fan. It's just, it is, and I've gotten that from other wrestlers like Mick Foley and DDP.
I can see Mick Foley loving Terrifier.
Oh
just sitting there with the mask on like that, giving himself a claw.
Well, it was funny. We're at a convention, and he just comes bounding over to me because his table is across from him. I was like, David, can you do me a favor for me? I'm like, yeah. He's like, my son is a huge fan. Can you get me an autograph for him? I'm like, yeah. He starts taking money. I'm like, dude, no. Keep your money, man. I'm like, you want my autograph? Are you kidding me? It's like, that's brilliant, free, man. It's like, I used to watch you wrestle all the time.
That's brilliant. So good.
He's the nicest guy too. I love Mick.
It's always like that. Like you see, like the big ones are like a lot of picture. I don't know. I think I've heard like the Boogeyman and like all the scary, like horrible. They're like the nicest of people. Yeah. Everyone's like charity. It's so strange, isn't it? You never think of it. It's the
craziest thing. It's like, because I did a podcast with Jericho, and right before I got up there, he was doing it with DDP. So I got to watch the two of them just chat, and I'm like, this is insane. But like, you're so used to seeing them in the ring and playing the characters they play, and then in real life they're just cool guys, just like really nice. Like DDP was talking about yoga. I'm like, what? Yoga?
It's like so good.
Pretty chill, laid back too. I'm like, this is so surreal. And that's how all these horror guys are too. Like Kane and Bill Moseley and James.
Oh yeah, I love Bill Moseley. Yeah.
They're all just cool, laid-back guys.
Yeah, we were talking to James Hugh Courtney for absolutely ages. We was getting annoyed of him, people in the line. We were just standing there talking about random stuff for ages, and he just wanted to talk to everyone as well.
So nice. He's like, because we did a convention together earlier this year, and he had just wrapped on Halloween, and we were still filming. So I was like, hey, so I hear you wrapped. He's like, yeah, I hear you're still filming. I'm like, yep. So it's just like, it's like we could just kind of relate in that way. It was our first time meeting, and it's like we both knew about each other. I was like, this is so cool.
Yeah, we love that. You like that Halloween wheel, didn't you?
Yeah.
So we love the Loomis Doctor in it. The character, I've been shot. That one.
Yeah.
But I would love to meet him at a convention. That's another little side character. I'd love to meet him at a convention. I thought he was brilliant.
Oh, it's that's what I love about the conventions, just meeting these people that I watch films and actually, Now, because it takes, I can be so shy around people I don't know. So like, even when I used to go to conventions before my, I guess, celebrity status now, but like, I was so apprehensive about going up to tables and saying hi to the actors because that always feels awkward. But now I'm on the other side of the table. It's just like, oh, we're on the green room together or stuff like that. So we're chatting and stuff. So it's like, oh, this is, but still, there's that apprehensive nature.
Yeah,
oh God, that's Bruce Campbell sitting over there. I'm like, hi.
I was like that with Robert Englund. I just sort of walked up to him and I was just like you're Robert Englund. Like I was just like, this is insane. Like it's just his one at London Film and Comic Con. I think I got a diamond pass. No, I've got it here actually. Wait, where is it? You got to keep it and it goes through. You know, one of these like limited ones.
Oh wow, yeah.
These like cool thingy ones. But I think there was about 700 people that got that one, which is like £200. And then I think he said he didn't even get a chance to sign anyone's normal ticket because everyone had just bought diamond passes for him. It was a queue went outside of the venue for him. It was just insane. Yeah. And
I understand Robert is quite the chatty Cathy as well. So
yes,
yeah. It's like we briefly met at our first convention that we did, and Damien and I were both so like, that's when we were so awkward because we're just like we're the new boys on the scene. We're like, we don't feel like we deserve to be here. We're like we're just like hi, we're big fans. But he's like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. And I'm like, now I think it would be different. We're like, hey, we're over that first.
So that's brilliant.
Because we Mike Levy in our film, that's the exterminator that I decapitate.
Yes,
he actually is a friend with Robert because he played a younger version of Robert in a movie they did together. So he's like, oh, we have that icebreaker right there with Mike. But like, hey, Mike's a friend of ours. Like, oh, okay, cool.
No, that is cool.
So, yeah,
that's brilliant.
Yeah, because he has all the. He just says Robert's just the nicest guy too.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is so nice.
Which I noticed at the convention too, because like he's sitting at a table behind us, and he's with a lot of his castmates from Nightmare, and he's just sitting there doting on them, just like, oh, it's so lovely seeing you again. You're just there. He's just showing them so like Nancy's mom and stuff like that. It's the most surreal thing. I'm like, he's being so kind and sweet to these people. Like but he's Freddy.
It is. He was proper in character because I got a photo of him as well, and it was like he was just standing, he put the glove on, and he was literally like, it's prime time, and he was just proper going into it with every single person, like giving them a really good experience.
That's good. That's good because I know some of these celebrities try to half-ass it with these photo ops. They're just like, okay, here and here and here. I know like Bruce is really good about doing all this stuff. You know, he schmoozes people. I stay in character the whole entire time. I don't talk or anything like that.
Oh, that's brilliant. You'd have to do a costume one for the love of horror, surely, because I think they have a lot of people doing the costume ones there. That'd be so fun.
It's fun to do because I can just goof around with people, and I try not to do the same pose overnight. I like to change it up and just play around because it keeps it fresh and fun.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant.
Well, when we come to that and you're in character, we'll try to get you to talk. You see us walk in. You're like, oh, hey guys, how you doing?
People have tried so many times. I'm like,
we'll have to try the thing. I'll stab a nail through your foot, and then you've got to stay in character as well. Just don't make a noise.
That would. The thing is, I have a very high pain tolerance, so that probably is like. I was like every doctor's dream kid because they would give me shots, and I would just sit there and just stare, and they're like, "You're not screaming," and I'm like. I've had doctors like when I had like my crown put on my teeth. He couldn't find the nerve, so I had to keep on trying to do the Novocaine shot. And he's like, "David, are you still awake?" I'm like, "Yeah, just hurry up and find the nerve."
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's like you're not reacting at all. I'm like, "Oh, I feel the pain. I'm just."
Oh, that's brilliant.
You're born to play art.
Yeah, that's it. It was destined.
Yeah. Well, it's only when I stub my toe. That's when I'm like, son of that, or when I whack my knee on something. That's when I'm like, good. I have my Family Guy moment.
Oh yeah.
That's so good. Oh, it's brilliant. So good, Dave.
Yeah, well, thank you, David, for doing this. I mean, like, you've gone well over the time. Like, I mean,
yeah,
so,
sorry for
that. Yeah, like I said, just goes to show you're such a nice guy. Yeah.
It's we could talk for hours and hours.
Definitely do a part 2, I reckon. When Terrifier 2
go
is
up
out.
for it when Terrifier 2 comes out.
There's going to be much to talk about.
That's brilliant. Good. Honestly, thank you for that. I'll message you about the PO box because we'll send you a nice gift.
Oh, thank you. That's so sweet of you.
Yeah.
Jack's autograph.
I'll give you a little autograph.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, honestly. It means a lot.
You're very, very welcome.
Thank you.
Well, y'all, I guess it's probably bedtime for you guys now. Right?
Sometimes we might normally play Call of Duty around this time. Sometimes.
It's almost 1 o'clock, but we don't go to bed till about till about 3. I'm at
That's like me too. Yeah, it's like these past few nights I've stayed up playing Assassin's Creed.
That's what I worked out. You know your messages when you reply, because I'm like, oh, could you obviously check them at night or whatever. But when I was working out your times as well, I was like, that's like 2, 3 in the morning. I was like, you're obviously up for PlayStation.
Yeah, I usually do that. I usually just check my messages right before I go to bed because it sounds horrible, but sometimes I get some fans that just want to have casual conversation. It's like, hi. I'm like, what are you doing? Going to bed. Yeah. It's just like because I get so many messages and I try. That's why I just go like I'm gonna do this right before I go to bed, and I can like respond because I try to respond to everybody, but it's like it can be a little overwhelming at times. It's like, oh god, so many messages. So it's like, and that's when I'm like, okay, I'm just trying to do other things. I can't sit here and just have casual conversation like, what did you have for lunch today?
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. Responding, like, to be honest, it wasn't necessarily me thinking like, oh, you're going to be like too smug and that, like, seeing how many followers you got, and I was literally like, I imagine you get messages like thousands. So I was like, appreciate that.
That's inconsequential to me, is because I get some people, oh, we have 5 million followers, like that's great. Other people like, oh, we're just starting out, that's great, because either way, it's just having fun conversations, and like if people hear it, that's great.
Yeah,
we're going to try and spread this as much as we can because this has been an amazing chat.
Yeah,
I've had fun chatting with you guys. It's been a lot of fun laughs.
It has.
That's the important thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. You do any with any British people? I don't know. There was obviously some out there.
Well, I did the 39 Steps. I don't know if you're familiar with that play where it's just like, it's where it's 4 actors in it. Like the main lead plays the main lead, the female plays 3 main females, and they're the 2 clowns, and they play everybody else. So, and I've done the show twice, and I've played both clowns. So I've played about 60 characters in the show.
Yeah.
And they're all, it takes place in England and Scotland. And so I had to do all these different English, Scottish accents. And then I also had one of the characters I am playing is an English professor living in Scotland who is actually a Nazi German spy.
So I had package.
So I had to be talking like this, of course. Yes, it said, Mr. Hannay, how are you doing, sir? And then it says, oh, yes, Mr. Hannay. Yes, why are you over here? And this is, so I had to like drop. It's like in mid sentence, I had to drop the English accent, go into German. So it's, the audience like, but that was what was so much fun. It really helped me like diversify my different accents because I had to do. Because I didn't want to sound like the same character, and I was playing men and women and old and young, and it was more fun doing all the Scottish accents. So those were. I probably drove people crazy when I was learning the Scottish accent because I went to work one day just trying to just ingratiate myself and they just make it where just because I had to switch characters so quickly, so I had to be able to go into it. So I just talked with a Scottish accent all day at work, and it's like on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, where the richest of the rich live, so they're all a bunch of snobby people. So I'm, oh, how are you doing today? What can I get you? And they're like, David, why are you talking? I says, oh, it's because I'm doing this show. I'm going to have to go out there and I have to get this accent down. So I'm trying to get it so it flows naturally when I'm talking to you. And they're like, it's like, and other people had no idea. They're like, oh, where are you from? I'm from Alabama. What? Yeah, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. Oh, you're wondering because I'm talking like this. Oh, don't worry. It's just a thing I'm doing today. It was so much fun.
That's a really good one because you have like really like over the top ones, and that's like a really good subtle one. You know, like
because you can go further with it. Because I did a few like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, mate. It just depends on who they are, and because I have the older characters. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, yes, what's going on over here? You just come over here. You're just annoying. And I had the one where you could barely understand anything. It's like, oh, that's going on now. I'm going to do this with you and all that is going on. What? Oh, the coos are going to have to feed the coos. Let the coos, moo the coos up there. What is? I had so much fun with it.
Oh god, that's so good.
No, Scottish is such a hard one to do.
That is brilliant.
It took me a little bit longer because I would almost go Russian with it at times because it's a different. It's a lot with the tongue, and it's also in the back of the throat in a lot of ways too. And it's just it's different from the because Irish, of course, is more on the front of the mouth and it's more airy. It's and yeah, it's weird. It's all the different placements, and they all have different cadences. And I think because I'm also a musician, it's like I hear the musicality in accents, and that's why I pick up on them a lot easier.
Yeah, I find it. I can kind of do accents.
Yeah, the Liverpool accent is a little. This is.
That's a John Lennon. That is.
Talk because it's very chill.
What about Manchester?
I'd have to hear it, but I can.
It's like the Gallagher brothers, like Oasis.
Yeah.
I can't do it, but it's.
I can't.
I sometimes have to hear it, and then I'm like, okay, there it is.
Yeah, and then you can like learn it.
I've also discovered a lot of them when you're closer to Scotland. They're more like because they're more in the front of the mouth. Like, what are you doing here? Are you a fool? Why are you over here?
It's the face as well. You instantly become Scottish. You just look Scottish as soon as you do that. It just
grumpy.
It just instantly does, doesn't it?
It's weird. That's why I want to come over there so I would just really be in it all. And I would just be like, okay. Well, I have to hear everybody talk.
I think you should try and do that. That would be so good if you did that because you could literally do like that London Film and Comic Con. And if there is other ones, you could go up north doing it almost because I think they do have good stacked ones, like horror ones going up north. You could literally do that.
Yeah, because it was fun because I was learning how to do it back in Alabama, so it was more like everybody's just doing the standard British and everything.
Yeah. No one talks like that here.
What are you doing today? It's like, but it's like I like more of the hey. What's going on here? I don't really understand what's going on. It's like,
yeah, it is.
It's what are you doing today? I'm not really quite sure what's going on. It's sitting here watching telly all day. It's just get myself some crisps and stuff. Crisps. Just sit down. What's going on?
Well, if there's one UK accent you need to master, it's the Geordie accent.
Geordie.
Newcastle. Why man?
Yeah.
Fishy on the dishy.
Fishy on the dishy. Well, what I love also is like the Cockney rhyme schemes.
I know
really
a lot of that, living in London.
Yeah. I love it. Because Cockney's a lot of fun to do too.
I can do Cockney because you live in London all your life. You go pick it up now and then, so I can twitch it on like that.
It's just such a fun one to do. It's just, and then you take Cockney and just widen it out a little bit more, and you become Australian.
Yeah.
Because it's from the penal colonies that they brought down there. So yeah.
Oh, there's one thing I noticed about. Have you seen The Boys with Karl Urban doing the Cockney accent? There's one thing that irritates me because he says "me wife." He's like, "I need to get to me wife." We don't say that; it's "ma wife."
Yeah, I don't
need to get to my wife.
It's like a mix of like Kiwi, British, and Australian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fucking Soups on my watch. It's just, it's so...
It's good though.
But that's the thing. It's like most people won't notice that except for like the native speakers. And because I'm like that with Southern accents. I'm like, all these Hollywood movies. I'm like, no one talks. They think everybody talks like this all the time. Like, no one talks like that anymore down south. That was like my grandmother who was from Georgia. That's how she talked. But that accent's basically gone away now. So, but I'm very particular when I hear Southern accents. I'm like, what the fuck kind of accent is that? It's like everybody talks like Sam Elliott and stuff like that. Like, well, yeah, that is an accent, but not everybody. It's more like, hey, how are y'all doing? That's how I am in Alabama. It's like, hey, I just have to. The funny thing is, I just use like city names from Alabama, and that gets me back in my Alabama. It's like Decatur, Gunnersville, then I'm right back in Alabama. Like, hey, how y'all doing?
It's like sounds like a bit like George Bush then as well.
Yeah,
he's from Texas, but
Texas. I'm a cider.
Oh God, brilliant!
They misunderestimated me.
Fool me once.
McConaughey as well, a little bit.
Fool me once. You fool me. Fool me the second time. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah. What was the other one he said?
Something about fish. The fish. I believe humans and fish can live together peacefully, or something like that.
I don't know.
There's something about putting food on your family instead of family.
Yeah.
He's like, you're going to have to put food on your family.
But the thing is, I remember when I thought Bush was like the biggest idiot, and then we got Trump. I'm like, oh man, he's made Bush look like a Rhodes Scholar. So it's just like,
has he conceded yet?
No.
What is he doing?
Yes, just yesterday on Thanksgiving, there's this interview. He's sitting at this like tiny little desk, and they even asked him about conceding. He's like, "I'm not gonna say." Like it's like, I'm the president. You don't talk to me like that. I'm the president of the United States. You're just a lowlife. You're nothing. You don't. He was talking to the press members. So I'm like, you're a piece of like, shut up. I wish the press guy would have just said, not for much longer.
Yeah, it's just, it's
like,
so
it's just, he's such a child.
Yeah.
He's just, it's embarrassing.
Only
it's so embarrassing. But it's the thing is like knowing that we have over 70 million people here in the United States that actually were like, you know what? We want 4 more years of this shit. I'm like,
that's more than the population of the UK or thereabouts.
That's scary when you put it in that.
Yeah, I know.
It's a whole entire nation of people that are like, this is great. We want more of this. I'm like, man, every day is something he does stupid. And it's like, I'm tired of it. And I'm like, that's why I'm just like, thank God he lost. I want to go back to the days where it's like every few months you hear about the president in the news. Like, what are they? Okay, whatever.
It does give me hope that maybe I could even become prime minister if he can be president.
If any between him and Boris, it's just like,
can you do a Boris impression?
I would have to watch him, and I could probably do.
Stay at home.
He just mumbles.
Don't leave.
Whoa, you two! You start home.
It literally is just like that.
Look at my hair; it's all messed up.
That's what tier we're in at the moment. At the moment, we're going into basically different tiers, and tier 1, 2, and 3. If you're in tier 2, you can go to the pub, you can get a pint, but the only way you can get a pint is with a substantial meal.
Yeah.
So you have to have a meal with you. So they clarify you can't have chips, but you can have chips with loaded chips. That's all right. It's honestly, well, they don't know what we're doing.
Well, that's bonkers.
It's so silly.
I'm just always amazed with him because his hair is always just like.
He's had a haircut recently, but
it's just all over the place.
It's just he looks like he's drunk all the time. He just looks like he's. I'm just shut up here.
Well, that's what it's like.
What the fuck am I doing? Am I here?
I think a lot of them are like that.
Yeah. I'm just one pint.
That is the perfect pub drunk round here. That impression is the I'm crying. I'm actually crying. That is the best impression of someone coming up to you in a pub round here, like an older bloke. You don't even realise he's there, just standing right next to you, like, you buying the next round? Like, just standing right next to you, like.
Where are you from?
Yeah. It is that. It's always where you from.
Where you from?
Or it'd be what team you support.
Yeah. What team?
Where you from?
That is the perfect face, just to stare at you like they want to.
I learned that because I was one time on the train here in New York. It was on 4th of July, and I'm wearing. When my dad was over there in Ireland, he got me a soccer jersey, and it's got like one of the teams, their logo on it and stuff like that.
What team is it?
I can't remember. This was so long ago.
Was it from Ireland? Did you say?
Yeah, it was green.
Oh, my cousin plays for Shamrock Rovers.
I think that's actually who it was. Yeah, because it did it have a shamrock on it.
Yeah, Shamrock.
Yep.
From Dublin, I think.
Yeah, but he just sits there. This guy's drunk as anything. He sits next to me. He's Irish. He's like, "You're from Ireland." You. Hey, you. And he's like right here in my face. Right. And I'm just like, and my friends are sitting across from me like, "Oh shit, Dave is about to get beaten up." Because you are you from Ireland? It's like, my family is. He's like, oh, fuck yeah. And he's like, he just takes out a beer. He's like, you want one?
It's just the lead and stare.
He's on the subway, and like, you're not supposed to drink on, so he just cracks up. Fuck yeah.
It's like the perfect Liam Neeson that was as well. I have a particular set of skills.
It was just great. I learned a lot of that from, like, I had a coworker who was from Ireland. We're always just trying insults with each other all the time. He's like, you fucking bastard. You're such a fucking bastard, Dave. You're such a fucking bastard.
It is in every word.
We had so much fun with it. Like, we had like a assistant manager come one day from another store, and she's like, she tried to write us up. It was like, because we're insulting. She was like, no, we do this out of fun. We're not doing this trying to be mean to each other. She's like, right? It's like, yeah, this is what we do.
We do that here as well. You got to be careful though who it is.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
But you just say, you're such a fucking bastard, David. Shut the fuck. Yeah, I'm tired of your face. You're always.
That's just hello to Irish people.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like, oh, you again.
So good.
Like, hey, James, fuck you, Dave. Bastard. He was always calling me a bastard. You're such a bastard.
That's so good. So good.
But that's how I learned the accents. I love that. It's just like, because you're not getting like the stereotypical accent. You're actually getting the real accent. You're like, so I'm like, keep talking Irish to me, James.
Yeah, it is. You'll have to come over it because you'll enjoy it so much, especially when COVID's over and come into all the plays in London as well. Some of them just so good. Woman in Black. I saw that recently. Just all of them are so good.
I'd love to, because that's where Shakespeare.
Yeah.
All that's from. It's like, yeah.
There's a lot of fans here as well. English speaking country, so like probably half of your fan base is here as well.
Well, that's the lot of thing about Art, though, is like since he doesn't talk, he's like Mr. Bean, where he's like everybody loves him.
It is.
He's cross. He breaks the national borders because everybody knows what he's up to, because you don't have to have subtitles. You're like, oh, okay.
He's ripping the panties off and he's sawing her off. It's a universal language. Everyone's just like, yeah, I get that. That's good.
I know exactly what he's doing. He's tearing off her panties. It's great.
I like how you put the French accent. It sounds like that's like a French person would appreciate. Like he's ripping it off. Yes.
He's just ripping it off at me. Why he does what he does. That's something I used to. Well, I went to France, so I learned a lot of the accent from doing that. So it wasn't the peppy lip. It's like, no, there's more. This is when they. This is. But I discovered when I was waiting tables at a restaurant, it was called Le Pain Quotidien here in the city. So we would get a lot of French tourists because like, oh, it's a French restaurant. We come in there. We have one of these in France too. It was actually a Belgian restaurant, but they don't care. But I noticed that they always say, "Is it possible to?" That was just like, do they teach this in every English class there? It's like, "Is it possible to?"
Is that why you said no all the time? No.
Yeah. No. Bosh.
No, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So good.
No, accents are just fun. It just.
I like doing them. I'm not very good, but I like doing them.
Yeah.
I think my best is probably Northern Irish. I don't know if you can do Northern Irish.
I'd have to hear it.
Northern Ireland is a bit like that. A bit more like R, like it's the A. It's more of like an R kind of sound. Like
R.
Have you seen Peaky Blinders?
I know your name. I know you know where the sun tucks, and it's like really like drawled, you know, a little bit.
Like more of that, like that, almost Lucky Charms.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
This sounds depressing. That's the only way I could describe it. It's a bit more. It's not like sing-songy like the Irish. It's like hello, I'm for Northern Ireland, and for breakfast I had porridge, and for lunch I had porridge, and for dinner I had porridge.
I just had porridge all day. Fuck it.
And it was great.
It's great. That's like, oh, it's like it's Scottish there. That's the hard thing. Is like when you do, it was great. All that was great. Yes, absolutely great. Yeah, I just love doing the Scottish one though. That's just it's a fun one.
That's so good.
It is.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Scottish when I was younger because of Ewan McGregor in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's me. It's like I always wish I was born in England, so it's just because I love the accents. It's just like
Yeah.
it's just it just sounds. They just sound much more refined than American accents. It's just like this, especially more the posh and all that. It's great for villains, especially. It's like Jeremy Irons and all. Yes, of course. That's so much more. It sounds more sinister that way. It's just.
Well, I heard there's a comedian who does a bit where he says the Cockney accent is the only accent that if you don't shout it is more intimidating. So if you're like Americans screaming, "I'm gonna hurt you, I'm gonna rip you up," but if you're a Cockney, like, "No, mate, it's all right. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna do anything to you. It's all right. Calm down." You're a bit like, "Oh, all right."
It's like I don't know. I don't. You have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I'm a bit like.
Oh, we just want you to sit over here. That's all. Just sit down.
Yeah.
But that's what Archie does talk.
Ignore the blades over there. Those are just my wives. She's lovely. You might like her. She makes meat pies.
Yes, it's terrifying.
Oh, dude. Oh, brilliant. So good.
Well, tell us, David, if we're keeping you too long.
Oh, where I'm keeping you guys. I probably actually need to go. It's almost dinner time here, so
that's fine.
I'm gonna make some chicken française for myself tonight.
Sticking with the French theme.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yes.
Well, yeah, thank you again,
I have leftover chicken, so I'm like, I'll make some of that.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, honestly. I'll message you anyway about that PO box or whatever, but we've got to do it again after Terrifier 2. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for that, sir.
Yep, stay safe.
Oh, you're welcome.
Peace out.
You too. Yeah, stay safe, and hopefully we're going to get back to normal soon.
Yeah.
Right.
See you in London.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
Happy holidays to you as well.
Yes, you too. Happy Thanksgiving for yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thankful for a great year.
All right, y'all take care. Have a good night.
Goodbye.
Thanks, David.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bye.